So we are starting our Caitanya Caritamrita reading today. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Srila Prabhupada Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashkat Yadesha Parane. Jai. Thanks to Srila Prabhupada. We have this Caitanya Charitamrita in English. And we are starting from text 62. Yeah, so we've been hearing about how one should, the glories of the spiritual master, how the spiritual master is non-different from Krishna, and the benefits of devotee association, and how we should restrict our association with non-devotees and increase our association with devotees, because just by hearing from devotees, we gradually become purified and our faith becomes strong, our attachment to Krishna grows, and our love for Krishna manifests. Okay, so text 62. So now, Krishna is going to glorify his intimate relationship with his devotees. Sadhavo hridayam mayam, sadhunam hridayam tvaham, maranyate na jananti, naham tebyo managapi. You want to read Bhagati?
Yeah. Saints are my heart, and only I am their hearts. They do not know anyone but me, and therefore I do not recognize anyone besides them as mine. This verse appears in Srimad Bhagavatam 9.4.68 in connection with a misunderstanding between Durvasha Muni and Maharaj Ambarish. As a result of this misunderstanding, Durvasha Muni tried to kill the king. When the Sudarshana Chakra, the celebrated weapon of Godhead, appeared on the scene for the devoted king's protection. When the Sudarshana Chakra attacked Durvasha Muni, he fled in fear of the weapon and sought shelter from all the great demigods in heaven. Not one of them was able to protect him, and therefore Durvasha Muni prayed to Lord Vishnu for forgiveness. Lord Vishnu advised him, however, that if he wanted forgiveness, he had to get it from Maharaj Amrish, not from him. In this context, Lord Vishnu spoke this verse. The Lord, being full and free from problems, can wholeheartedly care for his devotees. His concern is how to elevate and protect all those who have taken shelter at his feet. The same responsibility is also entrusted to the spiritual master. The bona fide spiritual master's concern is how the devotees who have surrendered to him as a representative of the Lord may make progress in devotional service. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always mindful of the devotees who fully engage in cultivating knowledge of him, having taken shelter at his lotus feet.
Yeah, so here Krishna is talking. I just moved here so I can see you guys. This is a statement by Krishna saying that the devotees are in my heart and I am in their hearts. They don't know anyone but me and I don't know anyone but them. This is Adi Lila chapter 1, text 62. And so Krishna's Kaviraj is quoting this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 9.4.68. And yes, it's very sweet, very Krishna's the Lord is making himself a little vulnerable here and exposing his heart and saying that the devotees are in my heart. I'm totally dependent on them. And because Durvasa Muni was trying to give trouble to his devotee Ambarish, then Krishna was like, I can't help you. you know, like you offended my devotee. What can I do for you? And only if my devotee forgives you, then I can help you. So, like that. Devotees are very, very dear to Krishna. And it says here, see, we all have problems. So if somebody comes to me with their problems, I'll try my best, but I can't always promise to help because I also have my own problems. And I have my own limitations, right? But it says here, the Lord being full, so he's full, he's no limitations, and free from all problems. He doesn't have any problems. So then what? Then he can wholeheartedly care for his devotees. Right? Krishna's unlimited, he doesn't have any limitations, and he doesn't have any problems. So he can take care of all of our problems very easily. Whereas if we approach, you know, some person, then that's nice. You know, they can pray for us and they can ask Krishna, please help this person. And that's good. But yeah, no human being can help us the way Krishna can. So, but Krishna can also empower. See, that's what he says. The same responsibility is entrusted to the spiritual master. So the spirit, Krishna can empower the spiritual master with the solutions. Often the spiritual master is very good at suggesting solutions, giving good advice to solve problems. Okay, now he's going to continue glorifying devotees in the next verse. This is also a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam, another part. Text 63. Bhavadvida Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibho Tirti Kurvanti Tirtani Swantastena Gadabrita. You want to read, Daniel?
Saints of your caliber are themselves places of pilgrimage. Because of their purity, they are constant companions of the Lord, and therefore they can purify even the places of pilgrimage. Purport: this verse was spoken by Maharaj Yudhisthira to Vidura in Srimad Bhagavatam 113.10. Maharaj Yudhisthira was receiving his saintly uncle Vidura, who had been visiting sacred places of pilgrimage. Maharaj Yudhisthira told Vidura that pure devotees like him are personified holy places, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always with them in their hearts. By their association, sinful persons are freed from sinful reactions, and therefore, wherever a pure devotee goes is a sacred place of pilgrimage. The importance of holy places is due to the presence there of such pure devotees.
Yeah, so he's saying that devotees are so purifying and so holy, so saintly, that wherever they go, they purify the place and they make it into a sacred place, a holy place of pilgrimage. So we see that, you know, when Srila Prabhupada came to the West, he went to New York became a holy place. He went to New Vrindavan, New Vrindavan became a holy place. He came to Dallas, Dallas became New College, Radha College and Jidam. So wherever he went, he just was creating holy places, establishing, making temples, establishing deities. But even if he didn't make temples and deities, just the fact that his feet touched the ground there, purified the place and made it into a sacred place of pilgrimage. Why? Because they carry Krishna in their heart. Actually, that doesn't come into the way it's translated here, they are constant companions of the Lord. But the Sanskrit is swa anta stena, means that the Lord is within their hearts. Gadabrita means the personality of Godhead. Swa anta means inside, like within them. And swa means oneself, and stena means situated. So it literally means that Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated within you in a very powerful way. And so when you go there, it's like God went there. Okay, text 64. Now he's going to give us some more details about different kinds of devotees. Now we're back into the Bengali. Se bhakta ganahaya dvivida prakara parishad gana eka sadhaka gana ara. Such pure devotees are of two types: personal associates, parishats, and neophyte devotees, sadhakas. Perfect servitors of the Lord are considered his personal associates, whereas devotees endeavoring to attain perfection are called neophytes. Among the associates, some are attracted by the opulences of the personality of Godhead, and others are attracted by nuptial love of Godhead. The former devotees are placed in the realm of Vaikuntha to render reverential devotional service, whereas the latter devotees are placed in Vrindavan for the direct service of Sri Krishna. So, Sango Pangas. It's like, yeah, that verse in 11th canto about Lord Chaitanya says that Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishna Sango Pangastra Parshadam Yagyai Sankirtana Praya Yajanti Hisumedasa. So Parshada means his confidential associates. Sango, he comes along with his angas, like his limbs, like Nityananda, Advaita, and also with his parshadas or parishats, his confidential servants. So it's not totally clear to me whether, so neophytes means the sadhakas. Prabhupada translates it as neophytes. The word here is sadhakas. So there are those who are sadhakas who are practicing sadhana bhakti in order to perfect their existence and, reawaken their dormant love for Krishna and go back to Godhead. And then there are the parishads, who are the eternal associates that come to this world and are eternally liberated souls. So there's two types of devotees.
So Nityananda and they are not the parasas, they are the angas.
Yeah, because they're Vishnu Tattva. They're not like they're not like little souls like us. They're in the same category as God. They're just like expansions of him. So, but here we're talking about the devotees, like the normal, like, infinitesimal.
So do you know any name parishats?
The putty shots. I don't know, I was hoping Prabhupada would expand on it more, because it's not totally clear whether he's just talking about devotees who come down from the spiritual with Krishna, or whether he's talking about people who are like through sadhana bhakti, they attain perfection, and so they're no longer neophytes or sadhakas, but they attain self-realization in this lifetime. I guess then they become personal associates, right? There's a stage at which the sadhakas, because sadhaka means you're following sadhana bhakti, right? So there's Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, following rules and regulations when you don't have a taste. And there's raganuga sadhana bhakti when you're, doing your devotional service out of spontaneous attraction. But then beyond sadhana bhakti, there's also bhava bhakti and prema bhakti. So I'm guessing here that, when you get to the stage of bhava bhakti and prema bhakti, you're no longer a sadhaka, because you're no longer doing sadhana bhakti. Now, then you become a parishat. Basically, your love for Krishna is awakened, and you're basically on the same platform. You're fully purified. You're on the same platform as those who came with Krishna.
And it also says that it's pure devotees. Like these are two pure sadhak. They are calling sadhakas also pure devotee and personal associates. So
yeah, see, the way Prabhupada translates sadhaka gana is prospective devotees. It's like when you go to a university, you're not an enrolled student, you're a prospective student. You're just looking. You're just hoping that you'll get accepted. Yeah, prospective devotee means like an aspiring devotee. Because while we're doing sadhana, it's like you're not yet a devotee. You're just trying, you're practicing, you're trying to be a devotee. It's just like you're learning a musical instrument, you're practicing, right?
Yeah, we are still not.
And then when you become perfect, then you're a musician, right? But while you're just doing the scales and doing the, reading your sheet music and trying to play it, you're not a musician yet. You're an aspiring musician. You're practicing. But then when you become perfect, right? Because practice makes perfect, then you become perfect, then you're a musician and you perform and, like that. So we are prospective devotees. We're practicing bhakti, hoping that by practicing our actual devotion will awaken. And then we'll become a parishad. Then he says factual devotees. When our actual devotion, our actual love for God is like fully manifested, then that's the factual devotee, right? Then you become a parishad. Anyways, now we're just practicing. We're doing the sa re ga ma pa da ni sa. of devotion. And hopefully we'll get there. Practice makes perfect. So we just need to keep practicing. Okay, good. So let's go to 65, 66. Ishvarera avatara etina prakara amsha avatara araguna avatara shaktya avatara tritiya emata amsha avatara purusha matsyadika yata. Oh, Lavanga, would you like to read?
Yeah, could you let me know what verse we're on?
Yeah, it's Adi Lila chapter 1, text 66.
Oh, 66, okay. 66, all right. Wait, weird.
Oh, sorry,
I'm
65, 66 are together.
okay, because I was looking at my phone and it just said 65, 67. Okay. There are three categories of incarnations of Godhead: partial incarnations, qualitative incarnations, and empowered incarnations. The Purushas and Matsyas are examples of partial incarnations.
Okay, so now we're getting into the different kinds of incarnations. So these are the avatars. So he's saying this Amsha avatars, partial incarnations, Guna avatars, qualitative incarnations, Shakti Avesha avatars, empowered incarnations, and examples.
Which one is the Purushas?
Purusha avatars means the Karna Dakshaya Vishnu, Shira Dakshaya Vishnu, Garbha Dakshaya Vishnu. Those three. That they're like the expansions of the Vishnus for creation.
And Matsya is the first incarnation.
Yeah. So partial means that they're Vishnu Tattva, but they don't have all the powers of Vishnu. Because they incarnate or expand as for a particular purpose, and they're invested in whatever potencies are required to fulfill the function for which they have expanded, and that's it. They don't need all the power because they're just doing one thing and they do it well, and that's it. Right? Like Matsya, he came to save the Vedas during the Great Flood. So he had the power to do that, but he didn't have the power to like create universes and all these other things. And then the Purusha avatars, they have the power to create the universes, but they don't do other things. They can't do like everything that Lord Vishnu does.
They're partial.
Yeah. Okay, text 67. Brahma Vishnu Shiva Tina Guna Avatare Gani Shakyavesha Sanakari Prithuvya Muni. So now he's going to tell us about the Guna avatars and the Shakyavesha avatar with some examples. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are qualitative incarnations. Empowered incarnations are those like the Kumaras, King Prithu, and Mahamuni Vyas, the compiler of the Vedas, Vyasadeva. Text 68. Duirupe Haya Bhagavanera Prakasha Eketa Prakasha Haya Arata Vilasa. Divya, would you like to read text 68?
Yes, thank you. The personality of Godhead exhibits himself in two kinds of forms, Prakasha and Vilasa. The Supreme Lord expands his personal forms in two primary categories. The Prakasha forms are manifested by Lord Krishna for his pastimes, and their features are exactly like his. When Lord Krishna married 16,000 queens in Dwarka, he did so in 16,000 Prakasha expansions. Similarly, during the Rasa dance, he expanded himself in identical Prakasha forms to dance beside each and every gopi simultaneously. When the Lord manifests his Vilasa expansions, however, they are all somewhat different in their bodily features. Lord Balaram, in the first Vilasa expansion of Lord Krishna, and the four-handed Narayan forms in Vaikuntha expand from Balaram. There is no difference between the bodily forms of Sri Krishna and Balaram except that their bodily colors are different. Similarly, Sri Narayan in Vaikuntha has four hands, whereas Krishna only has two. The expansions of the Lord, who manifest such bodily differences, are known as Vilasa Vigrahas.
Yeah, so these Prakasha and Vilasa expansions, they have all the powers of the Lord. And the Prakasha expansions look exactly like the Lord. So when Krishna expands himself in the rasa dance to be with all the gopis, they all look exactly like the original Krishna. Okay. But then the Vilasa expansions, they also have all the powers of Krishna, but they look different, right? Like Balaram. Yeah, or Lord Narayan. Okay. Also, the personalities are a little bit different. Right. Text 69 and 70. Eka e vigraha yadi haya bahurupa akareta veda nahi eka iswarupa mahishi vivahe yaiche kaila rasa ihake kahiye krishna mukya prakasha. Legacy.
When the personality of Godhead expands himself in many forms, all not different in their features, as Lord Krishna did when he married 16,000 queens and when he performed his rasa dance. Such forms of the Lord are called manifested forms, Prakash Vigraha.
Okay, so Prabhupada already told us that in his purport. But if you didn't have Prabhupada's purport, you needed this verse because in the last verse he just said there are two kinds, Prakash and Vilas. And now Krishna's Kaviraj is saying that these are the Prakash. So, okay, text 71. Chitram bhatai tad ekena vap. Oh, sorry. Chitram bhatai tad ekena vapusha yuga pat pritak griheshu dvashta sahasram striya eka udavahat. Daniel.
Astounding. Shri Krishna, responded without a second, expanded himself into 16,000 similar forms to marry 16,000 queens in their respective homes.
Yeah, that's a verse from Bhagavatam 1069 too. So now Krishna's Kaviraj is giving evidence, right? He made the statement that, yeah, Krishna expands into these identical forms, and now he's going to give the Shastric evidence to prove it.
That was like the first picture in the temple that really stood out to me. I was like, that's such a beautiful thing because I always like thought how beautiful it would be to be able to like fully like separate, like obviously not as me, I'm not perfect, but like just separate and fully love like everyone you love individually perfectly. Like that would be really, really a beautiful thing. So it's really cool that he does that.
Yeah, you can like be with all your friends at the same time.
Yeah. Say you're not distracted by anything. You're just
Yeah.
fully with them and like fully engaged. Like,
Yeah. Krishna has that power and he does it. Okay. Rasotsava sampravritto gop no. Rasotsava sampravritto gopi mandala manditaha yogeshvarina krishnena tasam madhye dvayor. Lavanga 72.
Yes. When Lord Krishna, surrounded by groups of cowherd girls, began the festivities of the rasa dance, the Lord of all mystic powers placed himself between each two girls. Purport. This verse is also quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:33-3.
Jai. Okay. Yeah. Let's go ahead then. Pravishtena grihitanam kante swanikatam striya yamanyeram navastavad vimana shata sankulam divokasam sadaranam atiyoksukya britatmanam tato dunduvayo nedur nipetu pushpavishtaya. Okay. Divya?
Sorry.
Go ahead. 73,
when-
74.
Thank you. When the crowded girls and Krishna thus joined together, each girl thought that Krishna was dearly embracing her alone to behold this wonderful pastime of the Lord's. The denizens of heaven and their wives, all very eager to see the dance, flew in the sky in their hundreds of airplanes. They showered flowers and beat sweetly on drums. This is another quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.33.3 to 4.
Okay, good. 75. Anekatra prakattata rupasya yaikada sarvata tatswarupaiva saprakasha itiryate. Pragati?
If numerous forms, all equal in their features, are displayed simultaneously, such forms are called Prakash Vigrahas of the Lord. Purport. This is a quotation from the Lagu Bhagavatamrita 1.21, compiled by Srila Rupa Goswami.
You see, Krishnadas Kaviraj, she was such a scholar. You know, he's making a statement and then he's quoting Bhagavatam, he's quoting Lagu Bhagavatamrita, he's quoting all over the place to back up everything that he says. Okay, text 76. Eka vigraha. Jai Shri Caitanya Jai Nityananda. Eka vigraha kintu akare haya ana. Aneka prakasha haya vilasa taranama. Go ahead, Daniel.
But when the numerals are slightly different from
Okay, now he's going to expand on this. Swarupam manyakaram yat tasya bhati vilasataha prayenatma samam shaktya savilaso nigadyate. When the Lord displays numerous forms with different features by his inconceivable potency, such forms are called vilasa vigrahas. This is from Lagu Bhagavatamrita 115. Yaiche Baladeva Paravyome Narayana Yaiche Vasudeva Pradyumnadi Sankarshana. These meters are throwing me off. Okay, whose turn is it? Lavanga?
Yeah. Examples of such Vilas Vigrahas are Baladev, Narayan, and Vaikuntha. Baladev, Narayan, and Vaikuntha Dham, and the Chaturvyuha, Vasudev, Shankarshan, Pradumna, and Adiruddha.
Okay, so these are all, yeah, power, have all the powers of the Lord, but they're in different forms. Okay, 70, so they're called Vilas, Vigrahas, Vilas expansions. 79 and 80.
What is this? Chatur Bahuha Vasudev.
They expand from Lord Balaram. Yeah, Balaram expands first, and then from him comes this Chaturvyuha. And then, yeah, these are four,
These are all Vishnu forms?
all Vishnu forms. And then from this Vasudev or from Sankarshan, from either Vasudev or Sankarshan, I can't remember. We're going to hear all about it. He's going to go into a lot of detail about these. Then the Chaturvyuha, you're going to hear all, don't worry, just stay tuned. Okay. Ishvarera Shaktihaya Etina Prakara Eka Lakshmi Gana Pure Mahishi Gana Ara Rajye Gopi Gana Ara Sabate Pradana Rajendra Nandana Yate Swayam Bhagavan. Divya? Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. No,
Okay.
it's fine.
Okay, the energies, consorts of the Supreme Lord, are of three kinds: the Lakshmis in Vaikuntha, the queens in Dwarka, and the Gopis in Vrindavan. The Gopis are the best of all, for they have the privilege of serving Sri Krishna, the primeval Lord, the son of the king of Vraj.
Okay, yeah. So now these are all the Shaktis, the energies of the Lord, right? Ishvarera Shakti, the Lord's energies. And so there's the Lakshmi Gana. So Gana means group. There's the Lakshmi Gana. There's that's the goddesses of fortune, like the eternal consorts of Lord Vishnu and Vaikuntha. There's the Mahishi Gana, which means the queens, Krishna's queens in Dwarka. And then there's the Gopi Gana, which means the gopis of Vrindavan. And he says the gopis are the best. Okay, text 81. So I am Rupa Krishnera Kaya Vyuha Tanra Sama Bhakta Sahite Haya Tanhara Ava.
Personal associates of primeval Lord Sri Krishna are his devotees, who are identical with him. He is complete with his entourage of devotees. Purport: Sri Krishna and his various personal expansions are non-different in potential power. These expansions are associated with further secondary expansions or servitor expansions who are called devotees.
Okay, so now we're going to hear about the devotees. Bhakta Adi Krame Kaila Sabara Vandana Esabara Vandana Sarva Shubera Karana.
All the source of all good fortune. For to offer prayers to the Lord, one should first offer prayers to his devotees and associates.
Okay, yeah. So these, he mentions all the incarnations here too, because even though the incarnations are like different tattvas, right? Vishnu tattvas and Shakti tattva and different levels, Prakash expansions and Vilas expansions. But they're all, even the Vishnu tattva expansions who are non-different from the Lord, they all consider themselves servants of Krishna. So in one sense, they're also devotees, even though they're the Lord, right? Like even Lord Balaram, who's the very first expansion, he calls himself the Supreme Personality of Servitor Godhead. And he's the first servant of Krishna. So everybody is a servant of Krishna. Okay, 83. Pratama shloke kahi samanya mangala charana. Dvitiya shloke te kari vishesha vandana. In the first verse, I have invoked a general benediction, but in the second, I have prayed to the Lord in a particular form. Yeah, and then he's gonna repeat that verse again. Yeah, let's just go back to text 2 of this chapter. Yep, it's the same exact verse that's coming in 84. Okay, 84. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodito Godadaye Pushpavanto Chitto Shando Tamonuda. Lavanga?
I offer my respectful obeisances unto Shri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, who are like the sun and moon. They have arisen simultaneously on the horizon of Goda to dissipate the darkness of ignorance, and thus wonderfully bestow benediction upon all.
So now he's, after doing his Mangalacharana, offering his obeisances to all the devotees of the Lord, all of his gurus, explaining about the position of the guru, and then offering his obeisances, mentioning all the different incarnations of the Lord. Now he's going to get to the subject matter of this book, which is Lord Chaitanya. So now he's going to, he's going to dive a little bit into Lord Chaitanya and his mission. So 85 and 86. Rajyaye Vihare Purve Krishna Balarama Koti Surya Chandra Jini Donhara Nijadama Sedui Jagatere Haya Sadaya Goda Deshe Purva Shaila Karila Udaya. And Divya?
Sri Krishna and Balaram, the personalities of Godhead who formerly appeared in Vrindavan and were millions of times more effulgent than the sun and moon, have arisen over the eastern horizon of Godadesh, West Bengal, being compassionate for the fallen state of the world.
So Krishna came as who?
Chaitanya.
And Balaram? Nityananda. Yeah, so Krishna came being compassionate for the fallen state of the world. They appeared in Kali Yuga. Krishna came back in the form of Lord Chaitanya, and Balaram came in the form of Nityananda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ara Prabhu Nityananda Yanhara Prakashe Sarva Jagat Ananda. Pragati.
The appearance of Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Prabhu Nityananda has surcharged the world with happiness.
Jai. Surya Chandra Hare Yaiche Saba Andakara Vastu prakashya kare dharmera prachara. E mata dui by jivera agyana. Tamonasha kadi kaila tattva vastu dana. Oops. Somebody has bombed us. Go ahead, Daniel.
The sun and moon drive away darkness by their appearance and reveal the nature of everything. These two brothers dissipate the darkness of ignorance, covering the living beings and enlighten them with the knowledge of the absolute truth.
Yeah, tamo nasha means they destroy ignorance. And tattva vastu dana. Dana means a gift. They give the gift of tattva vastu, of the absolute truth, knowledge of the absolute truth. Yes. Surya Chandra. So they say that Lord Chaitanya is like the sun, and Lord Nityananda is like the moon. Yeah, so just like the sun drives away darkness, or the moon also drives away darkness, and these brothers, they destroy the darkness and they give illumination. Text 90. Agyana tamera nama kahiye kaitava dharma artha kama moksha vancha adi sabha. Who just read? Was Daniel?
Daniel read.
Okay, Lavanga?
The darkness of ignorance is called Kaitava, the way of cheating, which begins with religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Isn't this the Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha?
Yep, Dharma
Yeah.
Artha Kama Moksha. That's what it says. Dharma Artha Kama Moksha Vancha Adi Sabha. So yeah, he's saying that this traditional, well, this sort of like traditional Vedic path of Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha is just cheating religion. So the idea here, the philosophy or the theology or whatever you want to call it, is that by performing religion, Dharma, you get Artha, which is wealth, you get prosperity. And then with prosperity, then you can get Kama, sense gratification, because now you can afford all the goodies that you want to enjoy yourself with in the material world. And then after enjoying yourself sufficiently, then you come to the end, all of your desires become fulfilled, and then you have no more desires, and then moksha, you get liberation, because now you're detached. So that's the formula. But Krishna's Kaviraj is saying that this is actually cheating, because dharma is not meant for artha. In other words, religion is not just meant for getting money. And money is not meant for sense gratification. And sense gratification doesn't lead to liberation. It just leads to further entanglement and sense gratification. So the whole thing is just like cheating religion. So if anybody comes to you and is like, oh yeah, I just pray to God to get money and then you can buy things and have a good life and at the end go to heaven. It's like, no, that's not how it works. Because what happens is you pray to God for money, God gives you money, but you don't actually it takes a very long time to actually develop a loving relationship with God by when you're just doing a business deal with him. And then, whether you can actually get sense gratification from your money is another thing, because that depends on your karma, how much you're actually going to be able to enjoy your money. And, some people have money and it just causes them further grief and anxiety, right? And then, yeah, by sense gratification, you just become more degraded. So people who have a lot of wealth, oftentimes they just use it they spend it on things that degrade themselves. Like, they can get all kinds of drugs and, intoxication, and they can go and gamble, and they can, because they're wealthy, they can attract the opposite sex, and they just end up degrading themselves. So yeah, they don't necessarily, their money doesn't lead them to heaven or liberation.
They lose it, they curse their business partner.
Yeah. And they curse God too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's who you're talking about, the
Yeah.
business partner.
That's
Yeah.
how I see it.
Yeah. Right. And then they reject God and then they're done for. Okay, so now he's going to quote this famous verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. It's the second verse of the Bhagavatam. Dharma projita kaite vocha paramo nirmatsaranam satam Vidyam vastavam atra vasta shivadam tapatrayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim Va Parar Ishvara Sadya Vidyavarudyate Trakriti Shu Shu Shubis Tatchanad. Sorry, I did it too fast. Shu Shu Shubis Tatchanad. I had to memorize that verse. Okay, who's reading? Divya, this is a very long purport, so we can take it bit by bit, I guess. But you can start us off, Divya.
Okay, thank you. The great scripture Srimad Bhagavatam, compiled by Mahamuni Vyasadeva from 4 original verses, describes the most elevated and kind-hearted devotees and completely rejects the cheating ways of materially motivated religiosity. It propounds the highest principle of eternal religion, which can factually mitigate the threefold miseries of a living being and award the highest benediction of full prosperity and knowledge. Those willing to hear the message of the scripture in a submissive attitude of service can at once capture the Supreme Lord in their hearts. Therefore, there is no need for any scripture other than Srimad Bhagavatam. This,
Hold on.
sorry?
The way the translation in the Bhagavatam goes is it starts off like this: completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated. The Srimad Bhagavatam, this Bhagavat Purana, propounds the highest truth, which is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. I really like that. Completely rejecting. Yeah, Dharma projita. Dharma is religion. Projita means rejecting, and Kaitava means cheating. So it's completely rejecting all this cheating Dharma. Yeah. Bhagavatam gives us the highest truth, right? Which is Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we exist to serve him. Okay, go ahead, Divya.
This verse appears in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.2. The words Mahamuni Krite indicate that Srimad Bhagavatam was compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva, who is sometimes known as Narayan Mahamuni, because he is an incarnation of Narayan. Vyasadeva, therefore, is not an ordinary man, but is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He compiled the beautiful Bhagavatam to narrate some of the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees. In Srimad Bhagavatam, sorry. In Srimad Bhagavatam, I'll continue. Okay.
I was just saying, go ahead.
Okay. In Srimad Bhagavatam, a distinction between real religion and pretentious religion has been clearly made. According to this original and genuine commentation on the Vedanta Sutra, there are numerous pretentious faiths that pass as religion, but neglect the real essence of religion. The real religion of a living being is his natural inborn quality, whereas pretentious religion is a form of nescience that artificially covers a living entity's pure consciousness under certain unfavorable conditions. Real religion lies dormant when artificial religion dominates from the mental plane. A living being can awaken this dormant religion by hearing with a pure heart.
So it's interesting here how Prabhupada puts it. He's saying the real religion is our natural, innate quality of service to Krishna. But this real religion lies dormant when artificial religion dominates. So yeah, it kind of like one kind of sort of precludes the other. That if we're worshiping the Lord for, material benefits, then we can't it's just opposed. It's like one you're approaching the Lord to try to get things from him. Like you're approaching that God is my order supplier and he has to serve me by giving me all the things that I want. Like I'm worshiping him and he needs to serve me in return by giving me the things that I want. Whereas the real religion is that I'm the servant of Krishna and I want to please him. I want to make him happy. I want to offer my things to him. Not that, I do some yagya and then he has to make me happy and he has to offer his things to me. And, it's just the opposite. So while you're doing one, you can't do the other because they're opposing. Okay. Oh. Lavanga got her hand up there.
I just I had a question because somebody brought this up to me a while ago. And they said that I know this devotee. They were telling me he's a devotee of Krishna. He chants Hare Krishna, but
Mhm,
he worships the demigods for material things. And the
mhm.
reasoning is that, oh, we're not supposed to approach Krishna for things that we want because it's cheating religion, and I have things that I want, so therefore I go to the demigods. So
That's funny.
they asked me how I would respond, but I would like to hear like how you would respond to a situation like that, since we're talking about what real religion is.
Yeah. Well, in the second canto of the Bhagavatam, chapter 3, it lists like all these things like, if you want a good wife, worship this demigod. If you want lots of money, worship this demigod. If you want a good son, worship this demigod. If you want to be beautiful, worship this demigod. Whatever you want, there's a demigod that you worship to get it. And then after listing, it's like several verses like that. And then after that, it says, but this is 2:3:10. But if you're actually intelligent, then you'll just worship Krishna for everything, right? So the verse is Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. That akama means whether you have no desires, or sarva kama, whether you have all kinds of material desires, or moksha kama, whether you're desiring liberation. It doesn't matter. Just perform bhakti yoga, and Krishna will sort it out, basically. Yeah. Just perform bhakti yoga with a lot of intensity to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not to any demigod, and it'll all get fixed. It'll all come out in the wash, basically. So
Thank you.
yeah, that's the advice of Bhagavatam. So yeah, what Prabhupada is saying is, as long as we're, adhering to this cheating religion, we can't have the real religion. But the thing is, if we approach Krishna, because Krishna is supremely purifying, even if we have material desires like Dhruva Maharaj did, but if we worship him under the guidance of a spiritual master like Dhruva Maharaj did, he took shelter of Narada Muni. So I'm pretty sure this devotee is not like following the instructions of a spiritual master in that regard, right? But see, with Dhruva Maharaj, he approached Narada Muni and he said, I have this material desire. Can you help me? And he said, yes, do this. And he basically outlined the whole process of bhakti yoga that he could follow. And then he did that very faithfully and strictly. And then he saw the Lord and he got all of his desires fulfilled. But by the time he saw the Lord, he didn't even want the desires. He didn't even want those material things. He didn't care about the kingdom anymore because he had advanced in devotional service to the extent that his heart was purified of his material desire, and he just wanted devotional service. But the Lord was like, it's like, well, you approached me with this material desire, and now also you want your pure devotional service. So I give you, you'll become a pure devotee, and I'll also give you your kingdom. And as my pure devotee, you will rule the kingdom. So he got everything. So that's Krishna. Krishna will give us when we approach him for something material. See, the thing with Krishna is you don't want to just ask him for material things. It's like with your parents. You want your parents to give you money, right? So you don't, so like a kid, like you're a teenager living at home, you have no source of income, you're totally dependent on your parents. So you really want your parents to give you money or let you use their car or something like that, right? So it's like, you approach your parents, but you don't just like do things just to get the money. You also love your parents. You also care about your parents. You also want to have a sweet relationship with your parents, but you also want the money. You also want to use the car or go somewhere. So it's kind of like, it's not strictly a business deal. It's kind of like, I really love you and I think you guys are great and I want our family to be happy. And I also want to do this material thing. So then, see, the parents, they get it. They're like, okay, our son has this material desire, and yeah, he's being a little exploitative of us, but we do love him, and we know he loves us, and we know if we needed anything, he would be right there for us. So you know what? We're just going to give him the money and let him use the car and hope that he doesn't crash it. So, of course, there's always a danger. That's the danger, right? Is that when Krishna gives us material things, the kid gets the money, he might, use it on things that aren't good for him. He might kill himself in a car accident because he's young and passionate. But yeah, in the same way, when Krishna gives us material things, we might mess up our lives, we might degrade ourselves with those things. But yeah, and if if Krishna thinks that there's a very good chance that we will mess up our lives with those material things, then he might just be like, you know, thank you very much for the worship. I really appreciate you, but I'm not going to give you the material thing. Right? Just like the kid, he's doing special, he's like trying to please the parents, so they'll give him the car and they're like, all right, we appreciate that you're really trying to please us and we're happy with you, but you're not driving the car because you're a terrible driver. And it's dangerous for you. So yeah, it's like that. It's kind of like, but see, that's the tendency of most religious people, is to approach Krishna like with this mood of like a dependent teenage son depending on the parents and wanting something from the parents. But in bhakti, that's not the recommended relationship. The recommended relationship is not seeing Krishna as the order supplier, but the recommendation is see, if when we look at the rasas, we look at the 5 different rasas, Shanta ras, Dasya ras, Sakya ras, Vatsalya ras, and Madhurya ras. There's no relationship there where Krishna is the father and we're the child. So in the spiritual world, I mean, unless you're one of Krishna's sons in Dwarka, but like those positions are fixed. We don't become Krishna's sons in Dwarka. So that's not going to be an eternal relationship. It's just, that's a temporary relationship, which is based on material desires. But an eternal relationship in the spiritual world is that we're the parent, you know, and that Krishna is our son and we provide everything for him. You know, we give him the money and give him the car and give him whatever he wants, because we are the servants of the Lord. And the parents do a lot more service for their children than the children do for the parents. So someone who's actually realized their eternal constitutional position as being a servant of Krishna, they don't want to be Krishna's son, because there's less scope for service.
There's also the other relationships, right? So, or does it all kind of eventually get to the point where you feel like he's your son?
No, that's one possible relationship. But I'm just saying that, like, that, yeah, that it's better to not think of Krishna as your parent who supplies you everything. But it's the eternal relationship that is actually the opposite thing. But then there's also, like, you can see Krishna as your friend, as your master, as your lover, like that. Okay. All right, so let's continue here. Do you want to read Pragati a little bit from the path?
Path of religion.
Yeah.
The path of religion prescribed by Srimad Bhagavatam is different from all forms of imperfect religiosity. Religion can be considered in the following 3 divisions. First, the path of fruitive work. Second, the path of knowledge and mystic powers. Third, the path of worship and devotional service. The path of fruitive work, karma kanda, even when decorated by religious ceremonies meant to elevate one's material condition, is a cheating process because it can never enable one to gain relief from material existence and achieve the highest goal. A living entity perpetually struggles hard to rid himself of the pangs of material existence, but the path of fruitive work leads him to either temporary happiness or temporary distress in material existence. By pious fruitive work, one is placed in a position where he can temporarily feel material happiness, whereas vicious activities led him to a distressful position of material want and scarcity. However, even if one is put into the most perfect situation of material happiness, he cannot in that way become free from the pangs of birth, death, old age, and disease. A materially happy person is therefore in need of the eternal relief that mundane religiosity in terms of fruitive work can never afford.
Yeah, so he's ruling out karma kanda, fruitive activities, as a way to be happy. It's just cheating. Okay, now he's going to go into the path of knowledge and mystic powers. Do you want to read, Daniel?
Also, the culture of knowledge, where the mystic powers are equally hazardous. For one does not know where one will go by following these uncertain methods. An empiric philosopher in search of spiritual knowledge may endeavor most laboriously for many, many births of mental speculation But unless and until he reaches the stage of the purest quality of goodness, in other words, until he transcends the plane of material speculation, it is not possible for him to know that everything emanates from the personality of Godhead Vasudeva. His attachment to the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord makes him unfit to rise to that transcendental stage of Vasudeva understanding, and therefore, because of his unclean state of mind, he glides down again into material existence, even after having ascended to the highest stage of liberation. This fall down takes place due to his want of locus standi in the service of the Supreme Lord.
So that rules out the path of just mental speculation to try to get knowledge. And then Lavanga, do you want to read the next? This one's now he's going to rule out the yoga path of mystic powers.
Yeah, the problem was I could not hear the last person that read too well, so I don't know where they stopped.
Okay, they stopped at the you're starting at as far as the mystic powers of yogas are concerned.
Okay. As far as the mystic powers of the yogis are concerned, they are also material entanglements on the path of spiritualization. One German scholar who became a devotee of Godhead in India said that material science had already made laudable progress in duplicating the mystic powers of the yogis. He therefore came to India not to learn about the methods of the yogis' mystic powers, but to learn the path of transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord, as mentioned in the great scripture Srimad Bhagavatam. Mystic powers can make a yogi materially powerful and thus give temporary relief from the miseries of birth, death, old age, and disease, as other material sciences can do. But such mystic powers can never be a permanent source of relief from these miseries. Therefore, according to the Bhagavat school, this path of religiosity is also a method of cheating its followers. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly defined that the most elevated and powerful mystic yogi is one who can constantly think of the Supreme Lord within his heart and engage in the loving service of the Lord.
Yeah, so he's also saying this path of getting mystic powers is also just cheating because those are all material. And they're like any material thing, they're temporary. Okay. Divya, the path of worship of the innumerable devas, the demigods.
Sorry, one second. I'm gonna find it. Sorry, this is still 1.91.
Yeah, it's a long purport.
Okay, sorry, what does the paragraph start with?
It starts the path of worship.
Okay, sorry, I'm looking. The path of worship of innumerable devas or administrative demigods is still more hazardous and uncertain than the above mentioned processes of karma kanda and jnana kanda. The system of worshipping many gods such as Durga, Shiva, Ganesha, Surya, and the impersonal Vishnu form is accepted by persons who have been blinded by an intense desire for sense gratification. When properly executed in terms of the rites mentioned in the Shastras, which are now very difficult to perform in this age of want and scarcity, such worship can certainly fulfill one's desires for sense gratification, but the success obtained by such methods is certainly transient, and it is suitable only for a less intelligent person. That is the verdict of the Bhagavad Gita. No sane man should be satisfied by such temporary benefits.
Okay, yeah, so in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is very heavy about demigod worship. People who are less intelligent, people who are blinded by their material desires, they worship the demigods to get material things, but these things are also temporary. And yeah, okay. None of the above mentioned three religious paths can deliver a person from the threefold miseries of material existence, namely, miseries caused by the body and mind, miseries caused by other living entities, and miseries caused by the demigods. The process of religion described in Srimad Bhagavatam, however, is able to give its followers permanent relief from the threefold miseries. The Bhagavatam describes the highest religious form, reinstatement of the living entity in his original position of transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord, which is free from the infections of desires for sense gratification, fruitive work, and the culture of knowledge, with the aim of merging into the absolute to become one with the Supreme Lord. All right, Pragati?
Any process of religiosity based on sense gratification, gross or subtle, must be considered a pretentious religion because it is unable to give perpetual protection to its followers. The word projhita is significant. Pra means complete and ujhita indicates rejection. Religiosity in the shape of fruitive work is directly a method of gross sense gratification, whereas the process of culturing spiritual knowledge with a view to becoming one with the Absolute is a method of subtle sense gratification. All such pretentious religiosity based on gross or subtle sense gratification is completely rejected in the process of Bhagavad Dharma, or the transcendental religion that is the eternal function of the living being.
Yeah, because I mean, religion should mean spiritual life. So if our goals in religion are just material, whether they're gross or subtle material, it's just material. It's just material activity. It's just material life. It's not spiritual life. It's not spiritual activity. So yeah.
I
Go
was
ahead.
also thinking like how beautifully they said that even this Gyan Yoga is a like being one with God is also a subtle sense gratification. That is true. We feel like, oh my God, we'll be God and merging with God.
Yeah.
But with bhakti, we say that we are the servant. And like in this material world, what image we have of a servant is very lower image. And I think there is just love and not any sense gratification in bhakti yoga.
Yeah. Yeah, this thing of becoming one with God is like the epitome of false ego. It's like the ultimate ego trip. Right? So it's just crazy. Okay, Daniel, Bhagavad Dharma.
Described in Srimad Bhagavatam, which the Bhagavad Gita is a preliminary study, is meant for liberated persons of the highest order who attribute very little value to the sense gratification of pretentious religiosity. The first and foremost concern of fruitive workers, elevationists, empiric philosophers, and salvationists is to raise their material position. But devotees of Godhead have no such selfish desires. They serve the Supreme Lord only for his satisfaction. Sri Arjuna, wanting to satisfy his senses by becoming a so-called non-violent and pious man, at first decided not to fight, but when he was fully situated in the principles of Bhagavad Dharma, culminating in complete surrender unto the will of the Supreme Lord, he changed his decision and agreed to fight for the satisfaction of the Lord. He then said,
Nashto moha smritir labda tvat prasadan mayachita stitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. Go ahead, Daniel.
My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt, and am prepared to act according to your instructions. It is the constitutional position of the living entity to be situated in this pure consciousness. Any so-called religious process that interferes with this unadulterated spiritual position of the living being must therefore be considered a pretentious process of religiosity.
Boom. Okay, that was very clear. Lavanga, would you like to read the real form of religion?
The real form of religion is spontaneous, loving service to Godhead. This relationship of the living being with the absolute personality of Godhead in service is eternal. The personality of Godhead is described as Vatstu, or the substance, and the living entities are described as Vatstavas, or the innumerable samples of the substance and relative existence. The relationship of these substantive portions with the supreme substance can never be annihilated, for it is an eternal quality inherent in the living being. Sorry, that was hard to read. I apologize.
Yeah, that language is a little uncommon, but yeah, it just means that we're parts and parcels of Krishna. Krishna is the supreme whole, the ultimate substance, and we're the little parts, the innumerable samples of the substance. And we're situated in relative existence right now, and this material world is sometimes called the relative world. Here we have relative truth, but in the spiritual world is the absolute existence, the absolute truth. Okay, last paragraph. By contact with material nature, the living entities exhibit varied symptoms of the disease of material consciousness. To cure this material disease is the supreme object of human life. The process that treats this disease is called Bhagavat Dharma, or Sanatan Dharma, real religion. This is described in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, anyone who, because of his background of pious activities in previous lives, is anxious to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, immediately realizes the presence of the Supreme Lord within his heart and fulfills the mission of his life. Haribo! Wow, that was a really amazing purport. Okay, yeah, so that's what that verse is saying. Therefore, there's no need for any other scripture other than the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so we'll stop there today. Let me see if anybody has any interesting comments out here on La La Land. I mean, YouTube. Oh, how can I join the session is asking Harshit Panchal. And Bera says, it is said that the gopis were saints in their previous lives. Lord Vishnu came to earth for them. Yeah, some of the gopis were sages from the forest of Dandakaranya. That when Lord Ramachandra was passing through, they actually became attracted to Lord Ramachandra, like in a conjugal way. And Lord Ramachandra said, this is awkward. One, you guys are male. Two, I took a vow of Ekapatni Vrat, only one wife in this lifetime. But if you want, I'm coming back in the next yuga as Krishna, and Krishna will accept all of you. So they all became gopis. Krishna didn't take any Ekapatni Vrat. Okay.
That's what happens to queers.
Well, if you're attracted to the Lord.
Yeah.
So Harshit Panchal, if you want to join the session, just reach out to me. You can find me on Facebook or Instagram, Prabhupada Priya Devi Dasi, and give me a private message, and then you can connect you. All right. Thank you very much. Sri Caitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare